Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very good afternoon to all of you. I hope you had a good lunch. And before I begin, let me introduce myself. I'm Monica Khurana, and I'm the country head at MMA India. It's my pleasure to host you here today at a lovely, lovely session, which we're all going to hear more about. So we're going to dive straight in to make sure that we get enough time with our speakers. So whilst I'd like to welcome all of you, I'd like to set context to what MMA Impact Vietnam is attempting through the day. So MMA Impact Vietnam is exploring the profound impact of business innovation with a strong focus on AI. Through compelling examples and expert insights, we try to navigate the intersection of innovation, technology, leadership, and modern work method in this era. So, in this afternoon, we will discuss more about the next generation of marketing and various other topics like how audio advertising can help brands drive effectiveness. Moreover, we will talk about a very interesting piece on AI testing at a low cost, which is a not which you cannot miss as a session. And lastly, we will conclude with CMO lessons in delivering impact with AI. So that sure is a power-packed agenda for all of you to pack in through the afternoon before you join us back at Smarties. However, before we begin, we'd like to extend our sincere gratitude and say a big thank you to all our speakers who are amongst us today to help us walk us through all these topics. So can we have a big round of applause for them? So that's them right there, and we're going to see all of them shortly, one by one. So without much ado, I'd like to hand over the mic to my co-host, Shanti Tulani, who is the MMA Indonesia country head, to walk us through the next few sessions. Over to you, Shanti.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I guess by now you know that since we country heads from India, China, Indonesia have been invited, we are also here to do some work. So our managing director said, since you're here, do some work. So here we are. But anyway, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to all the speakers, the sponsors for today. I think even though the crowd is rather intimate, I'm sure there'll be a lot of learnings for all of us, whether you're from a brand or an agency or a tech company or I'm sure there's something for everyone today. So the first session for this afternoon, in this particular discussion, experts and industry leaders are likely to delve into how fintech innovations are revolutionizing traditional marketing strategies and creating new opportunities for businesses to expand and thrive. This panel may touch upon topics such as data analytics, personalized marketing, digital payment solutions, and the use of emerging fintech tools to reach and engage with customers more effectively. The emphasis will be on harnessing the power of fintech to drive business growth, improve customer experiences, and adapt to the ever-changing landscape of the digital economy in Vietnam. Please join us in listening to the data and insights from the speakers with the topic Next Generation Marketing, Harnessing the Potential of Fintech Platform for Business Growth. Please welcome on stage, I pray to God I'm saying the names correctly, Ms. Thao Hung Vu, Ms. Rosie, Head of Brand and Marketing from Momo, Mr. Joe Wen, Senior Strategic Advisor of H+, Ms. Le Lanchi, CEO of YellowPay, sorry. And we also have the moderator for today, Mr. Hao Tan, CEO, co-founder of Vietcetera. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Welcome and a round of applause. Thank
you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hao. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vietcetera. Vietcetera is a media company based here in Ho Chi Minh. Hopefully, you guys all know Vietcetera. You work in media and marketing. I hope so. Otherwise, you've been sleeping under a rock. I am having the pleasure today of hosting this session about, of course, marketing, but in relation to fintech platforms. We have two ladies here who represent platforms in Vietnam, two of the largest. I'm not sure which one's larger. Maybe somebody can have an open debate about that. Just kidding. We have, as our colleague just introduced, Tao from Momo. Momo is an e-wallet company for a long time, doing great stuff, but mostly through the payment side. Zalo, of course, no one needs introductions there from the chat perspective, but of course their pay option has grown rapidly over the years. And then we also have Joe from H+, aka Haku Hodo, which has that big booth out there. Go check it out. They're going to want to try to sell you something, but hopefully they're experts, so you'll get good value. Joe here representing H+. Everyone's got their microphones. We'll love to just do a simple elevator pitch intro, and then we can get started. So why don't we start with Tao here to my left.
Hi everyone, my name is Tao. So I'm currently the head of brand and marketing at Momo.
Hi, Joe Nguyen. I am with H+, operate between here and Singapore.
And I'm Chi. I've been with ZaloPay for 4 years, done a variety of roles. Latest role was head of product before transitioning to CEO.
Very good. So we've got some senior leaders here that are ready to share their insights. So first question, how do you see fintech platforms influencing marketing today, especially when it comes to personalized marketing and customer engagement? So as you guys know, everyone here probably uses one of these two platforms or another one in Vietnam, and it can track a lot of things. It knows how much you're spending, how often. It knows that you're going to that coffee shop every morning, and it can help deliver ads, marketing, content that's personalized for you, and hopefully offering you some sort of value as a consumer as well, and to the brands too, of course. So why don't we first go to Tao here at Momo. How has Momo influenced how people do marketing? You mentioned offline that Momo Ads has now been a pretty fast-growing business for Momo. Why don't we just start with that?
Sure. So I think for Momo, we started as a payment platform. So a lot of people know us for what we do as payment. So with payment, you know that you have the data who are the real consumers of your brand and your product. So they're paying for it, and they stay on the platform. And the problem for us at day one is that payment is very quick. So when you need to pay, that's it. You open the app, and then you've done the transaction, and then you close the app. So we realized that problem from day one, and we asked ourselves, what if we want the customer to stay within our platform for longer? What other engagement activity that we can do with them so that they keep coming back and they enjoying being on Momo? So since day one, we've been trying with a lot of gamifications programs. So Luxy, one of Momo very famous games, and 4 to 5 years ago when we did it, we only did like one big games per year. But since people really, like playing games, interactive in kind of like a mode that is not too heavy. So not everyone is a heavy game player, but playing mini games where you can accumulate points, especially with your purchase, or you can interact with people around you, like you and me both open the app and play the games, turns out to be a huge hit for the platform. So after that, we keep organizing games, the big games and then the small game as well. And we realized that it's a great engagement platform. And after we just doing it by ourselves, we invite like all the other brands to do it as well. And it's more like an open platform nowadays for the brand to come in and engage with their real users. So you got the data that they are your customer, and then you can re-engage with them with a new method, which is like playing games.
So games has become content.
Exactly.
In a way.
Yes.
So how do you feel about doing like a Vietcetera podcast on Momo exclusive? We're doing a deal right here on the stage.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later. Actually, I bring that up because a few years ago we've had conversations with other apps. The first one I ever had was with Gojek. Actually, they launched a platform called Go News within their app, and the whole idea was to every minute of additional engagement you have on the app, so it's a form of marketing basically, you can then create another action on the app. So a transaction that leads to some sort of monetization. So anyways, just thought of that plug. Over to you. ZaloPay. I mean, you guys started from a very different angle. Zalo, no introductions needed, millions, tens of millions on the app every single day, if not more than that. Lots of messages. What just led to the payment side of things, and how has that influenced how marketing works on the fintech platform too for you guys? We'll just hear your thoughts on that.
For sure. So I'll start with the origin idea of ZaloPay. I think looking at platform like Zalo with 60, 70 million users opening it on daily basis, the user is there, the engagement is there. So we find that we've been able to acquire user at a much cheaper rate than our competitors and have a faster growth pace in the past few years compared to others. We also do gamification, and the virality of our games is really good within the Zalo platform. Because imagine during New Year, we enable users to send out lucky money packages in Zalo, and you send it to Zalo group chats, right? So one person send it to a group with 10, 20, 50 people, some of whom will then send another package to another group. So that's where the virality becomes, right? One person can refer up to about 25 to 30 new users. So that's a very powerful mechanics. So we obviously do a lot of gamifications over the year. But I think increasingly we think about product-led growth, and I think that's also influenced by my background coming from product. So besides the knowledge about the users, the reach, which makes us seem like Facebook, I think what differentiates us is that we are actually part of the user journey as well. So for example, we work with brands like KFC, Walmart, Big C to create shops within Zalo and Zalo Pay. So we can generate demand by contacting these users, right, and giving them vouchers or letting them know about the products that these brands are selling. Then the users can buy immediately in these shops. And payment can be paid with Zalo Pay or with different cards and via QR. And then we help the brands follow up with these users. So that's extremely powerful. We're part of every single step of the user journey. And furthermore, next year, we're doing more and more products to help understand which user can be pushed to pay more with different sources of funding. For example, we've done buy now, pay later. But we also realized with the Vietnamese consumers, a lot of people save. They don't actually like borrowing. So now we are working on a product called kind of save now, pay later, where you can set a saving goal, and brands can come and influence what the saving goal is. Are you saving for a trip to buy a product from Samsung? You get a voucher from the brands, a reward at the end of that saving journey. But we help the user pay for their purchase in whichever way they prefer. You want to borrow, we have buy now, pay later. If you want to save, you have save now, pay later. So that's the pitch for Zalo Pay.
So it sounds like, in summary, the marketing has actually gone into the fintech platforms rather than trying to do marketing outside to attack customers, go where the customers are. And in this case, people are spending daily on Momo and Zalo Pay. So very cool insight and a lot of development and innovation that can come from that. Joe, we're going to move over to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm a data geek, right? I've been doing this stuff for 20-some years in the early days. From a payment processing, the Momos, Zalo Pays, and all the stuff across the region, as a marketer, one of the cool things is it's banking the unbanked. Access to people who used to pay in cash that you have no data on. Right? That's the value from a marketer, from people who just used to pay in cash. Now they actually have their e-wallets and all that stuff, and the data attached to that. Right? So as a marketer, it's like the first thing is, well, we never knew who they were because they didn't, they're just paying in cash. Right? So these platforms are then enabling the ability to capture data on people and who they are. Now, what do we use that data for? Can we use it for marketing? Can we use it for other things? Can we use it to understand the consumers more? Can we use it to do attribution modeling, right? So that MMA is big on attribution. So that means attributions means the purchase, right? So if we can get information in terms of what people buy, we have deeper information about analytics and other stuff, but about who they are and what they tend to purchase. So it's, for me, that from a marketer's perspective, it's about the data and getting access to people who around the region, not just Vietnam, that we had no data on.
So talking about data, which goes into my next question, Joe. Data was not available before because people used cash. Now they're using these electronic forms of payment where you know a little bit more about them. Perhaps a lot more. Actually, yeah, definitely a lot more. How has it changed how an agency like Hakuhodo approaches its clients in terms of pitching and proposing new ways to activate and reach the customers? Have you seen a dramatic shift toward let's say fintech in this case. Like we just heard that Momo ads and ZaloPay ads, so they're actually very new businesses. And I was actually able to ask you, G, one of the sister businesses of Zalo is Ad Micro, which is an agency. How have they navigated that? Has it been a struggle to convince clients? Has it been very exciting? Have clients changed their habits of spending, or is that an ongoing process? Maybe I'd love to hear from you.
It's new. We call it retail media, right? That's the term, and it's not come here. It's coming here. Retail media means that the retailer or whatever it is actually putting ads in their space, or in this case, a Momo or in a shop, so that you can actually advertise directly. So it is called retail media. It is coming. It's around the world. Different companies are taking advantage of it. And yeah, as an agency, we'll love to take advantage of that as it develops, right? In terms of what information can be shared, GDPR compliance and all that kind of stuff. Amazon started this stuff in the U.S. And it is that walled garden. So it is working, with Momo, with ZaloPay and on stuff. So different ecosystems, and we need to see what products come out that fits what the client needs are.
Very cool. I want to ask the same question to you two because we had mentioned that the platforms are now doing ads. Like, we think platforms make money on the transactions. I'm not a huge expert in payments. I think I know more than the average person, but those margins are tiny. You depend on velocity to really make your money. But as we all know, there's so much competition in fintech right now. It's quite fragmented. And yes, Momo, ZaloPay are the bigger players, but still the margins are quite tight. So you're looking at ways for higher margin businesses, ads. So my question for you guys is, when it comes to like monetization of these platforms, are ads being taken quite seriously now? Like, is that a high growth area, a higher margin area for you guys? How big of a focus is that really? So, Chi, to what nature you can share your confidential strategies on stage with your competitor?
I think for us, our top priority is financial service products, because it's true, nobody makes money in payment except for like the card schemes. So that's priority number one. Advertising for us is, we don't look at it from a monetization, as in like we're selling ad as a pure profit business, so I don't look at it like that. For me, I don't want ZaloPay and Zalo to be a platform that's plagued with ads and spamming users. To some extent, Facebook has become more like that, right? So that's why every time we get a advertising request from our partners, we actually think about it through carefully and try to advise them from a product lens. So actually, all of the projects that involve advertising, I personally get involved, because I say I never will allow pop-up in ZaloPay as a clear principle. And when we're not doing that, then how can we deliver results to you, right? So we talk through with them what are the actual users outcome you want, then we think where in the product flow that makes sense for you. And we actually go a lot above and beyond, like building actual new features to serve these partners. So ad is an enabler for commerce on ZaloPay and enabler of user engagement. And I believe that that's in the long term is very healthy and sustainable for the business, rather than just trying to make money in the short run by saying, like, yeah, we have 11 million users, let's just sell all the ads we can to show to them.
Got it. I'm already thinking about the branded content, though possible, with the Lisi. That's a great branded content ad, but very functional. Tao, same question to you. Momo ads. We talked about offline. It's relatively new. Of course, it does impact brand in some ways if it's not done carefully. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So I think we are quite similar in terms of the thinking. So we are a new platform. So we look at like the old platforms, for example, like other ad platforms, and see how should we bring like a different kinds of value. Because definitely we're not going to compete with them. We are kind of like a different ecosystem. So we have payment and we have invested for engagement for a long time. So the question that we want to deliver to brands is that how they can appear in our app, not just for the reach, not just for the impression, but actually have a way to interact with users in a meaningful ways. So gamification rewards or like the shops that we open, so that the brands can have like a continuous conversation with their real users. Some of the way that we're looking for. So instead of just go for the top funnels, we want to go deep in the conversion and also in the engagement, which we believe no one is taking it. Because the linkage between online and offline is really hard to merge. Only if like you are a payment platform where you can really measure, the real impacts of the ads, follow up, have a meaningful conversation with a real customer after that, then you can do like the full funnels. But we believe that our strength is the later part of the funnel in which you can engage with users in a very meaningful way.
So my next question has to do with case studies. It usually involves, well, it has to involve the platform and the client. So let's have Joe play the role of a client. He's representing client X. He's now working with Momo and ZaloPay. You two represent sales teams and ad teams that have KPIs. We'd love to hear how you sell to an agency or a client about these ads, especially when it comes to data, using data to do that.
I
Joe.
will answer your last question,
Okay.
which is in monetization.
Yeah.
For me, from my perspective, from what your businesses is data monetization, not ad monetization. I can buy ads anywhere, right? Why do I buy ads here or somewhere else? It's about the data.
That's a great question.
Data monetization.
So Joe,
not
going
ad
to one of the
monetization.
platforms, you like data, you know how valuable it is. What questions do you ask the platforms when it comes to, I got Samsung as a client, I need to target the right customers, this TA, this category, this spending group, people that love to spend at Starbucks instead of Highlands at 8 a.m. in the morning. Love to hear, what questions
First of
do you
all,
ask?
I need to talk to all payment gateways. Consumers decide what they want to use, so it's not like I partner with one and not the other, right? So I need to have a solution that works on all payment gateways, because consumers have a choice, and they will, and they have their wallets here, and they have their credit cards there, and all that kind of stuff. So so that's I need to be able to do it across. What data do you have? Like, why would I target? Why would I spend here? Have they bought a product? Are they looking for a TV? Or have they bought it before? Are they do they like Samsung? Or am I trying to steal them from LG? So the more information I have, I can target my advertising. I can target my campaigns.
It's interesting.
better.
Yeah, I mean, like, whenever I search I'm typing something on WhatsApp, let's say, like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about buying this car in Mitsubishi, and then, suddenly a car ad pops up, makes me think that they're reading my info, which I'm fine with as long as it's giving me good value. That's another question entirely. But, I mean, Tao and Chi, you have a client like Joe, he's got the client dollars, he's holding them in his pocket on behalf of Hakuhodo. What answers can you give him in relation to how you use data and driving marketing, useful marketing? Chi, maybe you first.
Yeah, for me, the answer, I think, should be a long-term solution. It shouldn't be, we go in here, we pick a user segment, people who drink Starbucks more likely to buy Samsung. Like, there's a propensity model. Yes, some people are more likely to do this if they have done that. We obviously have that. But to me, that doesn't give you the best result. My consultant advice will be, think about how you will build a long-term relationship with your users, even if people are not your users yet. So for example, in Zalo, there's the official account function that I think is actually very underused, right? That's a way for you to build followership of your brand, where you can create very interesting content that get them to engage and keep thinking about Samsung until the day that they buy a TV. And because it's very hard to predict the exact moment when you need a TV. But if your brand loyalty and top of mind is there, and every week you send them interesting things about, electronics or whatever about Samsung that can keep them engaged, and then every now and then you send them a very compelling offers, and right there, if the user have the need, they'll go buy, and then we will remove all the barriers to payment for them. So that's how I would advise a brand to go about it.
I was talking to Chi earlier, right, about, is Zalo a CRM? Is there a CRM to Zalo, right? And there is. It's just not marketed as that way, or spoke to the marketers as a CRM. But Line CRM in Thailand, right? Big, huge.
Yeah, could you clarify that a little bit? So everyone knows what a CRM is, hopefully? Okay. So, Joe, you mentioned Line as a CRM. Could you walk us through what that means exactly and why platforms should think about that?
So CRM platforms, so Line is not a CRM platform, right? So that's Salesforce CRM, that's, a ton of CRMs out there. But then when you connect to your consumer, how do you connect to your consumer? The easiest way that they want to be connected to or they are on. So in this case, in Line or Zalo, they're already on Zalo. So they're already on Line. So it's a matter of connecting the back end of your CRM to that front end so you can communicate with them. The whole point of CRM is to be able to communicate and understand them better and service them, right? So that's what I mean by a CRM and on top of Zalo. But that's not Zalo Pay necessarily. It's just because it's a messaging app that everyone has.
Right, right. Okay, thank you, Joe. Tao, just over to you to close out that particular question. Joe here, he's holding the dollars from the advertisers. What is Momo's value prop in terms of how it leverages accurate data and information to deliver value?
Sure. So I think quite similar to Chi. So we don't think that there's one size that fits all the clients. And we also don't believe that one touch point, one ads can do everything. So we are all about building a long-term relationship with the users and doing a full funnel marketing in which people can really track the effectiveness from the moment people see the ads to the moment that they can convert, and then keeping the relationship with the customer later on. So we are very interested in doing that funnel marketing with you and with some of the pilot tests that we're doing, since that's a new business for us and we want to get a lot of insights on that as well. So yeah.
Okay, very good. We have one last question for this panel here that I've put together, and it has to do with legal and kind of compliance considerations. So in data nowadays, and in fact, Vietnam itself has addressed it, I believe it was a few months ago, companies are no longer able to sell data. If they collect it, they're not able to monetize it directly. As you guys know, you probably get spam calls and messages all the time from random people, and nobody knows how they got their phone numbers, but they do, and it still happens, even though it's technically illegal today. So I want to touch that point on the fintech platforms, because when Joe here is trying to spend his client money, they have to consider data governance and compliance, especially when they're collecting leads, collecting information to then lead to that transaction. So start with G and then over to Tao. We'd love to hear your thoughts about compliance and legal considerations when using data for either marketing purposes or for anything else that leads to monetization.
Sure. We have to follow all the legal and compliance rules. I won't go into specific data governance practices. I just want to give you a concrete example of what we will not do. For example, we do not sell credit score as a practice. A lot of banks and financial institutions approach Zalo Pay to buy our credit scores because we do have a score, but we do not sell it as a principal to external partners.
Are you allowed to sell it though?
You could. A lot of different places sell the score, but we just choose not to do. It's not just for the legal practice. I think there's a gray zone, like you could argue that you could sell with the proper user consent. I just don't think that it's a good way to use the user's data, because imagine like you using Zalo Pay and then randomly you're getting a call from some bank or some consumer finance company saying, hey, I think you're qualified for this loan based on the data we get from Zalo Pay. I think that's a very icky feeling for the users. So we want that. So we reject a lot of these proposals, and we ask the brands or the companies that want to work on lending to work with us to have the product on the platform itself, so user can 100% become aware that they are signing up for these lending products, for example, and using these products under the guideline of ours. For example, the interest rate that these places charge the users through the product through Zalo Pay cannot be super high. We try to tie it to similar to a credit card rate. So that's just what I want to share about what we believe in as a platform in terms of user data usage.
So you're kind of making money through affiliates in a way. So if I'm like a bank or an insurance company, I could technically work with Zalo Pay by installing like a mini app or something on Zalo / Zalo Pay, and then I can access or offer to your base. Is that how?
Yes,
it could work?
but it's not exactly affiliate. So for example, our partnership to do a revolving credit line with CIMB, the monetization model is not on the per lead. We actually work with them and we take a cut of the loan amount that is dispersed and that is repaid to them. So we want to make sure that our interests are 100% aligned. So we able to give you good users that borrow and actually repay to you. Only then we'll collect a commission on that.
Got it. Okay. Same question over to Tao. Legal compliance considerations. Momo has tons of data. I'm sure people are trying to hack it all the time or buy it for various reasons. Love to get your thought on that as well.
Yeah. So I think that's a super important topic for us as well, because above everything else, we are a financial platforms. So trust is very important for us. So when it comes to user data, that's actually our number one kind of like protected asset. So it's 100% encrypted, and no matter what the rumors outside saying, it's actually really governed in Momo. And I think when it comes to doing our ads, one of the things that we are very cautious on is customer consent. So whether they know that their data are being used for different purpose. And we prioritize asking them in advance for the use. And if you just ask people, whether I can use your data or not, it's really not a good practice at all, right? So usually users know that their data has some kind of like valuable. So they're looking to get something in exchange for it. If I give you your data, will you get something meaningful for me? So that's how we approach advertising and data sharing.
Yeah. Joe, over to you.
First of all, it's PII, right? So no one wants to touch PII. You can't hand PII over from one company to another. Brands, marketers need to have their own data in a CDP, in a system, in a CRM, in a CDP to understand what they're doing. Not in Vietnam yet, but similar to what you're talking about, what are you consumers getting? So in other markets, there's a platform where Unilever does this. So when someone buys something and they hit the payment gateway, right, and they hit a Momo or a ZaloPay, they get a little ad that says, hey, would you like 10% off? Unilever will pay for you, or we'll pay for that discount, or we'll pay for that, maybe it's a micro, transaction. We'll pay for that. In exchange, you give them information. You answer the questions and you actually give information. So that's what's called zero-party data, right? So the consumer gives the brand the permission and the email address, phone number, all the stuff to contact them. In exchange, they're going to get a discount, or they get that free month of data roaming or data usage or something like that. That's already deployed in Indonesia and Thailand. It has yet to come here. But that's for you guys. That's I mean, you know the Shanti. Indonesia is the first market, right? It's a platform called Bounty Media, right? So consumers are getting value, and there's a value to it, and they're willing to give that, and the brand, as the brand, gets that data, gets permission to market to that person, right? And they give it directly. And so that, from our perspective, I don't want to touch your PII. I don't want to grab your email address. I don't want to download all the stuff, because that's regulations on the stuff. But I do want that direct, connect and ability to connect to that consumer by giving them something in exchange. It's a three-way exchange, right?
Yep.
Momo gets something, or Zalo, the payment gateway gets something, consumers get something, and the brands are actually doing something, right? Are actually giving directly.
Exactly. There we go. Well, everybody, that wraps up today's panel, but we do have a little bit of time left, so we can welcome one question. Does anyone else do it? All right.
To Thomason from Decision Lab. So I just wanted to understand a bit more. We talked a lot about advertising here, but I think some of the things that plays very well into both the monetization and the broader network is how you do partnerships. And I know, for example, when it comes to securities, each of you have your way of diving into that. There's insurance. There's a lot of related financial areas. What I'm a little bit interested in figuring out is, I mean, when we look at the banking sector in Vietnam, a lot of them pick partnerships because the others did it already, right? But in your space, what are you doing to really understand what it is your users need, and then how you can benefit them when you choose your partnerships?
Thank you, Toy. Whose question? For anybody? G, you look like you're thinking, so I'm going to put it on you. Oh, Tao? Okay.
Yeah, I think if I can rephrase the question, I think it's very much like how would we choose the partners that come to our platform, so that there will be, let's say, like a three-win: win for us, win for the customer, and win for the partners as well. Is that right?
It's a little bit outside the advertising space, but
Yeah.
where you look for partners that will basically become part of how you generate income going
Yeah.
forward, right?
Yeah. So I think we do have like different categories of partners that we think would bring different values to the platform. So the number one type of partners definitely are the merchants, where our posts, our QR are, because that's where we can bring like a full funnel benefit in terms of advertising, customer engagement, payment services for them. So those are the partners that we want to enable. And in Momo platform, we got a lot of SME business. So with ours, they don't even, let's say, like have the bank serve them. So there's no post there. The only way that customer can pay without cash is via Momo. So those are the partners that we think create like the winning kind of like ecosystem the most. So convenience for the users, more profit, more customer for the merchants, especially the SME. So you can imagine if you go down to the street nowadays, even the street vendors, they got the Momo QR. So those are the partners that we love the most, and we think we have kind of like change their lives, change their business, and bring value to the whole society. The other partners, as you said, we do have partners with banks and with other ecosystem as well. So with other partners, I think the advertising values, as we said, how we can help them engage with the users, even after the sales moment, is what we think we can add value.
G, last one of you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so there are two ways we do partnership. One, which is the majority of the time, is that we already have a product need in mind. We know what our users need. And then we go look for a partner that fit exactly, can help us build a product. So to your point about banks, so banks in Vietnam, actually, I think banks in Vietnam are extremely developed, even compared to a lot of other countries. I used to live in the US, and I think bank apps in Vietnam are way better, right? So that's a very tough competition for us. Most of the time, we actually think about banks and cash as competition, not even like think a lot about e-wallet. And so the space that we see, I want to generalize for our users, is that there are a lot of micro financial services products that are not being served to the user. So I'll take a specific example, which is new product launch for us this year in July, stock trading. We find a lot of users in Vietnam have this mindset that stock trading is for the rich. If you have to buy a lot of 100 stock units at a time, most people don't have the money to go and play with that, right? So we need to bring it down to trading to one unit. And with that very clear principle in mind, then we go look for a partner. We go ask around, like, which of you is willing to do business with someone who is only willing to trade one unit? And that actually, a lot of partners just walk away, right? Because they know we want the whales. We don't want these users who trade a lot. So that's how we select partner. The other way around is there are a lot of partners who come to us, and then we prioritize also based on what we think we can add value to them. Sometimes the money is there, but if we think that it's not a suitable use case for our users, or that we don't think we have the capability to meet their full demand, then we also walk away from the partnership.
All right, everyone, that wraps up today's panel. Please, a round of applause for our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, panelists. Thank you for such an authentic and interesting session. Let's get a picture together and some gifts for you. you once again. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.